Many people have asked me, why does it hurt so badly when you leave an abusive relationship or a controlling person? It really does. I remember that pain. I equate leaving an abusive relationship to the same as withdrawing from a drug. It hurts that badly. And this is why. It's because it is like an addiction. We were addicted to an unhealthy cycle of abuse where we wanted to keep getting the high of the good person back, and then after the low of the abuse, and then we chase that high. So it is like an addiction. So when you leave that cycle of abuse and that relationship, you have to withdraw. You have to go cold turkey and withdraw, and it really is painful. You might be euphoric at first. When I first left, I felt I was on such a high because I felt freedom for the first time. I felt I was no longer walking on eggshells. But after that feeling of high, I then really crashed so hard. And what happens is this: it's because you've been numb for so long. You've been in a relationship where it's not safe to feel emotions because you're either told they're wrong, they gaslight you and tell you what you're feeling is wrong, that you're crazy, that you're imagining it, or if you've shown any vulnerability, it's been used against you as a weapon to hurt you. Secondly, once you're away from the chaos and drama of that relationship, you're still for the first time. You're in a safer space, and you're still. And so all those emotions that have pent up for so long suddenly burst out. And that is what is so painful, because they come out in such a rush. You name it. Guilt, loneliness, anger, shame, they just pour out of you, and it is just such a rush. And these are emotions you've not felt for so long. It's just incredible. I remember that feeling of being overwhelmed by all these emotions that I could not even get out of bed. I was fetal in a ball, sobbing many days, and I couldn't eat. I felt physically sick. But you have to go through this. What you're going to feel, I'll tell you why in a minute, but what you're going to feel is anything from guilt. You might start to feel guilty about maybe they're, I feel really bad about what they're going through after I've left them. We put their needs above our own, and we're still feeling guilty about them more than what's happened to us. Loneliness, like your life is over, you're never going to find love again. You might be grieving the loss of that person you still love because you didn't really want to leave them. You had no choice. You might be grieving the loss of the idea of this perfect future that you thought you were going to have together. You might be feeling feelings of shame. I felt dreadful shame. I felt that I'd failed in my marriage. I felt embarrassed that I was a victim of abuse. Why did I stay? I felt shame. I really did. And I then felt anger for the first time ever. I felt anger. How dare he almost kill me? How dare he beat me? So you're going to feel all of those feelings. And I'm not going to lie to you, if you've recently left an abusive relationship, the next months and weeks, even days, are going to be really hard, and they're going to hurt like hell. But it's really, really, really important that you go through this process and you feel every one of those emotions. As painful as they are, you really need to feel them. Because although it feels like you're in the darkest of tunnels right now, I promise you, these are your first steps towards healing. And it's overwhelming now, but time is your best friend, and the pain won't last, I promise you. And when you go through and come out the other end, which you will, believe me, you will, and you start to process those feelings, understand where they come from, and start to heal yourself, you will then be able to go on to having a much better life, and you'll become a much better person because of it. What's the alternative? You can put a bottle back on it, and trust me, I know that going back to that relationship is easier than feeling those feelings. And you are probably feeling very drawn to going back right now because it hurts you so badly that wouldn't it just be easier to go back, and when they're remorseful and telling you they love you and they're sorry and it's wonderful and you feel so good again, all that pain will disappear in a second. I know that. I know how quickly you can get rid of that pain. But it's going to come out at some point. You know, you'll either go back to that relationship and then it's going to hurt again because they will abuse you again. Or if you don't process those feelings and deal with it, if you don't go back to them, you'll go into another abusive relationship. So either way, or it'll just eat away at you inside. And that's not healthy for you either. So all I would say is it is going to hurt, and it does hurt badly because you are thawing out. But thawing out is the most important thing you can do towards recovering from an abusive relationship. It is the first steps towards healing. So stay strong. You can do this. And look at me, I promise you, once you get through that, there is life after. And it's going to be a much, much happier, healthier, and better one.